Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Mark, for introducing, and then thank you very much for having me here. It's a very pleasure. It's a big honor for me to be here, and a special thanks goes also to Tisha and Govenda, which has put me in contact with this really sparkling reality. And so starting from my lecture, I hope it will fit in 45 minutes. I'll do my best. Okay, let's start from the title. I choose translations. Translations to me is a big word. As I've been introduced, I've been studying and working in many different places, and translation is a practice that I always had to do, first for the language, but second for sure for transferring knowledge or transferring ideas. And so if we look at the word of the translation, the meaning, the activity or process of changing the words of one language into the words in another language that have the same meaning. So it means that if we start to think about architectures as a language, that everywhere you go, according to the context you have to adapt it, changing a little bit the terminology, and just take also some accent or a slang from the place where you are. Now I'm talking metaphorically, but it's something that you have to do to adapt your idea in order to transfer your concept, your approach to architecture. And then I would like to bring you a little bit to my bio, let's say, just to understand why I'm talking about translation. So I grew up in this city. This is Mantua. It's a city in the north part of Italy, very wealthy city, super well known because of the Renaissance architecture. And as you can see, resources are there. We have water. There is a lot of countryside where. Very rich of resources. But then, fortunately, then I've been studying for the first part of my student's career, and then I moved to Australia, where I've been in touch first time with architecture and the link with climate, that it was to me completely unknown, at the beginning. But since I started to study here, as you can see, designing, actually I was following a project. It was an info center in the Simpson Desert, and there was no resources at all. So construction has to be without energy, and then also logistic, in the transportation, has to fit in an airplane, small airplane, to arrive here and to build this building. So it was my first. I met for the first time this way of doing architecture, and then I moved to Japan, where actually it was completely different again environment. But then here I learned how this sobriety, a minimal approach, to architecture, to achieve a very distinct, elegant and sobriety, and then the use of simple elements to achieve very good architecture, and for sure details. But then I started actually my own practice in 2009 in Europe. It's called MONOatelier, together with Mariana Sendas, my partner. And then actually it was 2009, right after the global crisis, economic crisis. And then we were really excited to start, but at the end, the project that it was around were very small, with very small budget. And then with this sentence of Tana Vassal, make more and better with less, I think is represented perfectly that time and that spirit to approach architecture. I see in the audience also students. That's why also this presentation will be also to push them. And then I would like to start with a little. I will bring you in a journey that is belonging from starting in my student's career, and then here few projects that I will show, and from my office, and then I will bring you to the teaching. And then this was very small office from social media marketing company from Madrid. This was a very 42 square meters. As you can see, they were working around one tables, and then it was a garage, and this was the plan of the place. And then with a simple gesture, we put a curtains all around, and we started to work with very minimal resources. And then the tables. And then from a garage with one table in the middle, we started to understand also constructions. And this is, as you do, as a young architect, you have to push this, you have to think about, you have to learn how to build. And then you have to do it yourself if the money are not enough. if you want to achieve. And here we have a construction site, like a very, very small, as you can see, but I think that is bringing some energy. And then with these rails, we design everything. We designed from the tables. We were really like engaged. And this is the result. So from a very, very small and dark place, we transform it in a quite light and pleasure and peaceful like working space. And so this is, you can see like everything was, so with this, basically with this curtain, we divided the space. And of course, here we have many images and also a video, the beautiful things that we were also dealing with climate. When you open all the windows, all the office was moving. Maybe you think it is not very relevant, but instead it was bringing some energy in the space. And then, like when I'm talking about scarcity of resources, because we were awarded actually with Young Architect Practice of the Year, and then this was the director of the jury, Manuel Ares Mateus, was saying this strong sense of precariousness, limited resources and lightness, which responds to a strongly contemporary condition interpreted with intelligence by the designer. I normally don't put this like in the lecture, but I think that I put it because with one sentence you really understand the meaning of the building without saying it. And so we started to, okay, we should switch and get bigger. So we started to do competitions. And this was an office building in Tehran for a very big brand, Italian brand. And as you can see, like it was on a big road, busy road, as you can see from the pictures. And then we were starting to understand like how to translate also this approaching like efficiency, like passive systems, all these things in a different language. We need to go a step in. And so we're studying like screen and the shading devices and the carpets. And then we were really fascinated by these Babylon Gardens. Babylon Gardens in a way that how can we put like in such a hard context of this busy road, like gardens to cool down like the building. And so with this very simple and schematic, we can see like we have here like all the trees, and we actually reverse these Babylon Gardens inside this big tower, and we see like how the crossing ventilation can really affect the climate of this space and cooling down by putting trees in the middle. And then here is instead like the screen, how the screen it works. It's like to break the strong light from the sun in a comfort light inside the offices. And at the same time, the screen was like breaking the strong wind into a mild breeze. And then here we have some sketches that start to imagine the building. And then after we will have like plants. Here we see like we put like a very open and public space in the ground floor that it was really living with this breeze inside, thinking about the souk of that part of the continent. And then we have all offices. And here we see the section where it's clear what we have done here. We have this, it was like the commercial area. We have 4 stories of parking. And then here we see this big hall in the middle. And actually it was like an introvert building, like that it was taking advantage of the geometry of the section. Here we have details that you have to start and to think. If you propose something like this, you have to think about big slabs. And this is like a really conceptual image that we see this gold building inside a very gray road. And here we see from the top view, we see all these steps garden that were really helping, like so very close toward the outside and so very open toward the inside. And here we have few images to understand the feeling of this space. Here we have the meeting room, before there was the receptions, and then you see always this connection. And here we have this working space where we see like the effect of this screen outside that is bringing like a lower light inside, and you always have light from the central patio. And then like after that we started to do another competition, and And then it was completely different environment. Now we are talking about the city center of Paris. Like they were like Moulin Rouge was looking for like a new dance academy, and this is Moulin Rouge, as you probably know. And then this was the area for the building. And then now I'm showing you some plans that it was, because it was planned in the program. There was a museum, there was of course dance academy, there was an auditorium, there was a restaurant and a bar. So it was very complex program. And here again, you see, if you can imagine, also like ventilation always allowed, but I don't want to talk about this in this project. We were really fascinated, but how can we translate again our approach in this building, in this context? And so from this really sparkling and with paillettes, like this, we were really interesting, and how can we translate all these elements? So we were looking also to the movement of the nature, to think about a facade that can react to the climate. And then for that we developed this system, actually taking also part of a research in US from university that we were putting together like a we are talking about 2009, so probably now it's already very well developed, but here is piezoelectric cell together with photovoltaic cells. And then you can see, like if we put it like all together, you can really achieve like a amount of energy that it can let the cloud going on, and it works. And here, so we see, like in the 30s, how it was with the mill, and the main entrance was here. And then how it is now, where the main entrance is not anymore here and available. And this is our proposal, that we was putting like a very a blind building on the back, like with this facade, and again giving back this. So all this building, actually, it was a power plant. It was producing energy. It was producing energy for the place. But again, like back after this competition, of course, all know, like at the beginning, maybe there are more lucky ones, but in my case, we have been working with MONOatelier about like small interventions in the European cities, and still, like we were like fighting to have again like some important approach. Here you see, like it was a building, an apartment from the 70s. And here so basically from here, that it was 3 bedrooms apartment, we transformed it into 2. But what is very important here in this case, as you can see, we free all the upper part because of ventilations. Again, like we wanted to achieve in a very small like project, which is a refurbishment of an apartment, like we try to always foster like this approach. And again, here we see, like in the drawings, the door were foldables. I will show you later. Some images of the inside. And then here is not just formal that I wanted to show like ceramic tiles, but we started to use ceramic tiles as like a tools to bring, like in a place where there is no light, like a natural light. So even materialities, or like the glass of this roof of a toilet was bringing light in a very, very dark. This was the kitchen how it was, and this is how we transform it. And then this was this important space for us, this big living room that actually from totally open, it can be closed. It can be closed, but then when it's open, it's allowing this very, very nice like crossing ventilation. And then again, another apartment still, like to bring you. So I always put also like the price, because for us it's very important, because we try always to look and to work with minimum tools. The pictures were about how it was. And here, basically, it was 2 separated stories that the floor that we connected. We connected from a big hall here, the yellow part. And this is not just for staircases, because for the staircase, but as we see here in the section, like we open a new space that in a 70s apartment is not very common. So it was a surprise, but this was allowing again, like opening like a small window here, it was allowing to have these ventilations and allowing to have like calm, like without aircon, like to have a very comfort area. This is was 7-meter high space in an apartment, so it's quite uncommon. And then this again few images here, like the window that has been opened. And then again, like some pictures, and this also introspection, like between the corridor of the kids and the space. So it was a multifunctional space at the end. It was not just climatically wise good, but it was also because of interaction between the family that was living there. And then now, after this small introduction of both small project that I do with the office, like teaching, as has been said, like I'm teaching in a TUM in Munich, and with Francisca, and we always try to put, and here, and to put like people first, like community first, like so, and then we try to understand also very radical environment. How can we work there? And it's not just working in sub-Saharan Africa, but it's also like I brought an example. This was in Amatrice in Italy, that in 2017 there was a big earthquake that destroyed like the city as well, and there was a real need of a school. So how can we do like a fast school? How can we build a fast school? Like still with dry constructions. Here we see the site plan of the school, and then also actually also thinking again about logistics, like how can we arrive to this place with an earthquake? Everything is destroyed, and then how can we deal with like small elements to build a bigger building? So here we see like plans of the classrooms. We were always working with a buffer area, so not very thick walls, but mainly working with this buffer zone. And then again, here we see we work a lot with models, and a section that was showing again models of this module, and actually all the school was based on a triangular module, as we can see here. So it can be dismounted very fast also, and remounted again somewhere else where it's needed. Here we have sections, so we're thinking about like also like a elevated like floor to have ventilation in the bottom, and then a ventilated roof on top, like curtains as a shading device. And this actually, it was this famous buffer zone that was working in winter, and in summer you can completely open. So here we have a plan, and here again like a image, a glimpse of how it was the school. Here like a schematic, again like climatically diagrams to understand. Again here we see like the wall models and some view inside models. I'm sorry if I go faster, but I know that the time is limited. And then like that was together in the frame of the Accademia di Mendrisio, and now here we started with the Technical University of Munich here, and then there was many different projects. Actually, we started to work in the sub-Saharan Africa, and here we are in Freetown in Sierra Leone, and there was a trash collector. There was a big issue about how to collect trash, that it was in this river going then to a bigger basins, and then with the students, of course the students developed. These are like 2 students that have been tutored by me, and then here there is a scheme where you can see all the processes. How can we collect, and then sorting and shredding. We were really care for it, and then we come also like we always want to bring people like close to to dream very high, even like technologically wise, but thinking about, for example, like this was a roof that it was melting the plastic. Now I see this is a plan, elevations, and then in this section maybe we see like on the back we see when we turn the roof, actually it was working as a solar pot, that it was throw like the radiations, the rays of the sun, it was beating. Here we have details again. Here we have an image, and we see this part that is curved, and it was actually warm up like this place, this box where the plastic has put, and you can melt it, and then you can work on it. Here actually it was a building and a bridge. The bridge was collecting the trash, and the building was here like transforming the trash, and transforming in particular it was working on plastic. And on all the panels that you see, they're supposed to do it with recycled plastic. And here we have a view of the inside of the workshop, where we can see like also how the light, and here we have, as we need to put things together, also like soccer fields, and here where the audience can stay. And here we push always the students to start to think and realize one-to-one elements of the building. And so here they really melt like plastic to understand consistency and the effort that you need to do to have this. And this was a big panel, one-to-one, to show like how it could be. And then I brought you another project, like this Dikwas Water Village. Actually, this is a project from the bachelor, the other was from the master. And in this case, we have Dikwa is the city in Nigeria, and there was a big problem of Africa, of water. And here we see like many people are struggling in this area. And then of course you have to imagine it. Of course we have been researching at the beginning of the semester. This is what we do. We do a research as we cannot really afford to go there and study. So we always do a research, and we arrived with some data to understand when exactly like the rainfall is very high, here the wind is low, and we started to use the two elements of the climate to make this possible. And here we see like this water pump is like a windmill that is pumping the water, and here we have a filter. Of course, most of the times is a research project itself, even if it is a project. And here we see like we started to work with models, different models, the one with the windmills and the other one were collecting water. And then we can see like to make a water center actually, where like people can go. Here, of course, is connected to a deep well. So in order to pump the water, working with this windmill, like wind energy. And here we have details. We're always asked to do details. Here we have like how it can be combined. It can be big or smaller. And also like the material we use in the project, it's always something that we check the availability on the market. So here we are talking about rebars, corrugated iron sheet, and so on. And again, I don't want to get deeper in the project, but just to show you like more or less like the topic that we faced in our studio. And again here, see sections and plans. And the water system, there was like part that it was for drinkable water, and the other part was for water to water the plants and the vegetables fields actually. And again, here we have an image, how it could be. As I told you before, like we're always working with models at different scales to have a real impact, and also to understand the single pieces of the building. And we change scale also here. We see that we're already growing, and then we step into that 1:2. This was the smaller model in 1:2 scale, and so the students went to the workshop and started to weld, and really because it's so important to understand how heavy it could be, or because we have to think that we normally work in places in places where like there are no resources, there is no energy. We cannot apply to have most of the times a crane or like things like that. And so this is another project. It's like a research center in Mali, in Sibi, for local material. And again, here we have the site plan. And here we have, it was made out of three elements, three buildings. Here we see the sections. And so I don't want to talk again like so much about the project, but I want to talk like the methodology that we apply to them. Like in this case, they started to develop like a new way of doing knots with wood and a metallic joint. And metal joints here, we see like this astronometry, and here we have a view of this project, and again like the inside view. But what was very like important, we see like how we can connect like these the beams made out of wood, or even these columns like with concrete. And then again we switched and we started to build models. We started to build models to understand better. and was 1:50 scale models, and then we started to get deeper into details, and we start to build 1:1. This is what we always want to achieve at the end, because to build in this very strong environment without testing it, without really understanding what we can really do, is very, is not very easy. Here we were in Switzerland, so how can we really imagine? So through information, through our research. And then through these exercises, we started to think about how can we really get to the reality? How can we really work with the community, with local community? So together with Francis Quere, we established this workshop, which is called Building Reality, and it's about construction workshop that is a construction workshop on the paper, but at the end you will see like it is more like anthropology. There are many important side of these exercises that we do. Here is Gando, is the own village of Francis Quere. Here we see his own buildings, and it's in a really remote area. This is the village of him, and then we have been working and stayed there for like almost 2 months. And then to understand and to get deep into this lecture and into this culture, we started to do the survey of the place. So it's not just about construction, it's through making, understanding the culture, and then through living together, because this was very important for us. Like we should really practice this empathy, this capacity to get into like the real needs. And here we were doing like this incredible exercise, like doing a survey of a very organic space with really primitive tools, like just a cord and a few more. And here we have like a zoom of how it was the village. Actually, we have been living with the community for 2 months, and then understanding, we were talking about passive systems like this, but we should learn from vernacular. We should really consider it because it's so important. And this is, Francis was drawing on the ground, on the soil, and at the same time we developed this plan that it looks quite free as a form, which is also free, but it was because we were trying to respect all the pre-existing elements, that it was a deep well, like, and trees. And again, this was a workshop it was an Atelier Gando, that it was supposed to host like students and people from all around the world to do research, not necessarily architects, from other fields for sure. We built this 1 to 10 like clay models to understand also the roof, and then immediately with the students and the community we started to build. We started to understand. We asked for like 25,000 adobe bricks to be done, and then with the community we have been there working, of course. We started to mix up, and we understand also like a different part of the community has different role in the construction site. And so it's about respecting and try to be involved in it. And here we can see like all these very heavy bricks. Really was a big construction site for 1.5 months. Also how to peel like eucalyptus sticks, we started to develop this that is not really done yet, is a structure made out of eucalyptus. And this, I wanted to put this picture because it's so interesting. Like this is a Japanese students that was studying in Switzerland and actually came here, and then I don't know how it born, but how it happened, but at the end it was teaching sumo. Sumo, the sport like Japanese traditional sports, that actually you just need a circle on the ground and then you have to push. Of course, there are some rules. And for them, and it's not a fight. So it was very interesting how this comes. Like, like a very remote village, they were learning sumo from a Japanese. And this was like in the mid part of the construction site. You see like the size is very big. This was just 1/3 of the old building. Actually, this is still on construction. And this was a detail that we developed really like we did with the bricks. We have done these perforated walls, and then we left it there, and the women of the village, without really asking, but to protect the wall, they started to plaster it. And this is the result, as artworks. And then this is how the building will look like soon, hopefully. It's this research center, ventilated roof, and it's made out of clay. So then after the experience in Burkina Faso, we started to organize workshops in Mozambique. And then it's in Tete, you see Benga, which is a little village in Tete, close by Tete. And here again, we came here because of course, we've been studying like all the great architects that have been working in Mozambique, like Pancho Guedes, and all those, and then of course started to understand the history of the place for like whoever was passed by, and this exploration by Livingstone of Zambezi River. And then what we really were attracting us was this new exploration. It's not anymore like a explorer, but this is like exploration for coal. Like this area is very rich of coal, and this is how it has been transformed in many, many places in close by MONOatelier and Tete. And so I don't want to talk exactly about it, but this is what is provoking is this. It's like from 1980, like it was 45,000, and then it was easily like almost triple again after 20 years, and then again like almost 400,000 like last year. And so this is also because many people from the surrounding countries are coming because it's because of the job. But then there was Gregor Zilke, is a photographer from Berlin, that he was shooting like these pictures to show how the people were being relocated, like from the place where the exploration were happening. And then these are the houses that were building for them. And then, as you can see, it's not big enough. So they built an extra kitchen to put on the side. And in the night, it's not working. It's very, very hot. And so they prefer to stay outside. So this makes us think. And here we have like the area, the Zambezi, and here we see like when I arrived, it was this bridge, Kasunda Bridge. And this is the area where we have been working. Actually, we arrived there because at the same time, this is Kasunda Bridge again, how the Kasunda Bridge changed the daily life of the people. And again, like we have all the mashambas, which are like these vegetables gathered on the river, on the riverside of Zambezi, and the people live here. And this is the village, Benga, as you can see, like rural, and this is where like Kere architecture were started to plan like a developing housing for people, for the new workers coming. And then how can we link like a new area, residential area, to the existing village? This was few pictures of the project. This was the first prototype of these houses. But here we put our building. We see like this blue point. Actually, there was no program for the building. Here we started immediately to work, but we started to think about how can we do like a roof. A roof is already like something for this area, like is providing shadow. So it's very, very important. And this is the building. Here we have the site plan. And here we have, let's do a pavilion that can be used in a different way. And in this case, it's a round pavilion, like a 12-meter diameter. And then the size of this little box inside, we took it exactly from a typical house from the village. And this, it could be the house of the safety guy, of the security guy, or it can be also like a storage. It can be used differently. As you can see, like we started to work with the material that it was available there. So bricks, they were not even people there. They were a little bit against in using bricks because it's old. It's something that belonged from all the shelters that they have in the villages. They want new material, but at the end we started to use that, and they understand that it can be used in a completely different way. Here we see the sections again, like with a basement to allow. Here we have like exploded, very, very simple building, very simple things, but you have to think that we built it with the students in 6 weeks. We really built it. And here we see like the section of the plinth, and here the knots of the structure, because actually also like a metal work there is quite well developed because of this they have to fix there are a lot of mechanics that need to fix like machines for coal extractions. Here, this picture I put it because it was the deal with the chief of the village and the developer, and here we started to work with students from the university in Mendrisio, and at the same time with the people from the community. And then here we see like the tracement, everything with really primitive tools. We didn't have any machines, and we started to dig and to work with them. Here we have this beautiful picture, and then this is a different phase, of course, no printer, nothing. Maybe it's not needed to be said, but it's very relevant. And here we see like all the ring that it was keeping. This was a test also to understand the braking, so we need to turn it in another way. And this was our like 3 days we spent in this our shopping mall. Yeah, we used to buy all the material that it was available there, and then building and designing with the available resources. And here we see like working, we were really rushing, and so we were also working like in the night. And here the structure was growing. Again, we see here what is it's important here. We see like even these traditional houses were done with brick, and because they were doing it like traditionally in this way. But then we bought it because we were needing a lot of bricks, so we didn't have time to wait for. And so this was also like an incredible, like a place for making bricks. It's a traditional, quite traditional way. Here we see where it's born, so it's not perfect, but it was already very good for us. And we started to test like different ventilated, perforated walls. How can we do it? And here we see like the building is finished with the details that we have been showing before. And here, and this was the central knot. And so the students learn very fast how to build, how to weld, how to, of course, with the help of the community. Without them, we couldn't do anything, for sure. And this is something that we started to do with them. And then later on, I will show you what happened. But this is the final result, is a pavilion, 6 weeks with the students. And then later I will show you how it's been started to be used. And again, like teacher housing, like at the same times, career architecture was building in this part like a school, and there was a big need. This was the school, very beautiful. Here we were here for the opening together, and then it was the first day. And then we started to understand, okay, where the teachers comes from. And then there was this problem: the teachers were coming from quite far, and then the teaching was not so good as it could be, and we started to follow the teacher to understand how do they live and where do they live. And this was very interesting to show us their own houses, and also in terms of size and cost and prices and what we can do. So we came back and we started again to research and to study and to understand what we can do. We need to do like a prototype of a teacher housing, which is this one. This was the old pavilion, the pavilion we built, and this is the new school, and these are like the first houses that has been built. So actually it's a row housing system. We built just the first one. I'll show you. This was a plan, very, very simple. Here it was toward basically south in this part and toward the Zambezi River, and this was the main entrance. And again, like thinking more or less to work with the same materials which are available, drawings, and of course, like we need to think about like ventilations and what we do, like how can we do crossing ventilations. And the building models, again, even here there was no material to do anything, but it was very interesting how we can do models with just like a box of milk, and then like started to talk through the models, like and understand what it could be improved, talking with the teachers of the place. And soon it was the project was settled, and we started to work. Here we see like working. We also asked to some professional to come and help us to understand some details. here we see, like, can you imagine, like, students that from, like, the university, they were there, like, really, like, just designing, thinking, but at the end, when you work in these places and you don't have any idea about, like, the weight, what is available, simple details, what it can be wrong, you cannot really design. And this is so relevant, it's fundamental for us to check. Also always with the students. Of course, you cannot always go there and practice. Somehow you do it through research, as I showed before. But then as soon as we can, we want them to learn, learning by doing, actually. And here again, in the night, working again here. And this is how the prototype was almost done. It was missing the roof. This was examples of the windows, and here we see how we left, and then now actually is a proper house, and then is already occupied by one couple actually, and this was again. But then back after we finished the house, I was there, and about the pavilion, that it was already like absorbed completely by the community, and we were there. We were also like organizing a small exhibition. They're using it together, like they use it to celebrate, together there. And then here again, like this was small exhibitions about photographs that we had done the year before, that it was given to the community as a gift for sure. And here we see again how it can be transformed. And then suddenly they started to do like drawing courses, like for kids, and not only for kids, but so it's becoming a really central for the community. It's a very central place. It's very important to have this kind of places. These are images of drawings, and then also it's something that it turned very helpful for the workers of the school. They use this as a rest area, but also like people started to put their own small shops where they can sell water and drinks. And here people for sure they use it for resting. But then like this is just one part of what we do like during in our chair, because we started to develop, like when we were teaching at the Academy in Madrid in Switzerland, learning by doing workshop. So now it's just like a few images that we started to build. For example, we want the students get close to the reality. Otherwise, it's very complicated to start to design. Here we were building a rammed earth, like a wall, like 7 meters long. Here, for example, we were in the south. We were starting to understand how to build a cupola through these elements, this tool. Here, for example, we have been dealing with a German artist, and we were starting to understand like this is the school of Mendrisio, it was, for example, and you see like there is no sitting elements, it's a place that people don't know how to use it, and it's beautiful because it's really under the sun, and you know here we are close to the mountains and how the sun is important. And so we start with really like nothing, no resources. We've been to a dam and taken some trash, and they came back with pellets like this, and this was the result. And then again, still for the students, thinking about how can we improve the life of the students inside the campus. And we've done like small structure, for example, here to stay through the leaves of the trees, or here again, like a ping pong table. And here actually it was a very important workshop because there was a refugee center. Here we are in Tempelhof. Tempelhof is not working, is an airport that is not working anymore in Berlin, and they use it now for different use actually. And in this case, it was a place for refugees. And then they were missing basically like a roof, and we gave them like a small roof, a small pavilion. And then after that, we started to develop this modular pavilion, and then we have been invited at the Biennale in Venice, and again through like another pavilion. Basically is the same model but in a different layout, and we achieved this small pavilion with curtains. And then again here instead is in Munich, for example, we always want the people going close to the materiality, and we built a Nubian vault with the students in 4 days actually, 4 days. So for us it's very important, and also it works very well like for the students themselves to be together. But then like when I talk about workshop and going in this area, very radical environment in sub-Saharan Africa, and then the students say, yes, but what do we do then with these skills that we learned there? And then suddenly we started to be invited, myself, MONOatelier, together with Mariana. We've been invited from the University of Antwerp in Belgium to do and to study a very problematic suburb outside the city. And here we see it is called Luchtbal. And is a multicultural suburb, and you have a lot of problem of integrations. So we've been there. Still, we have to consider that time is always very limited. We do this in 1 week, and it looks like the big buildings, as you can see, like social housing here. The share of social housing in Luchtbal is very high comparing to the other part of the city. And again, there has been developed quite strongly, I would say, and we spot out like this place that it was very strong. Actually, it's a station, it's a Luchtbal station, a train station, but nothing really happens. And in the night, it's becoming also very dangerous. And here we see this spot that actually it was not used at all. It was supposed to be for an escalator, but has never been built. So it's a lost space, which is in front of the stairs. And you see what is happening, that people come here and they do their own business and they make it dirty, or they put on the other side of the wall just the trash. So it's becoming a trash collector. And so how can we solve this problem with a minimum project, with a very, very tiny project? Because again, so we had more or less 10 students, and we have been working, sketching, and then we finalized a project. Here we see like all the sketches and textiles like this. These are the plan and the section, the plan of the train stations. Here we see like basically here we have the stairs, and we already put like an element. So this is a bench. It's a simple bench. It's a simple bench with 20 meters long roof. And then here is the place where the trash, but for example, the roof is not just scenographic. Here we see models, as I said. Like it's not just scenographic, but it's not allowing anymore the people to put the trash on the other side of the wall. So again, I'm talking about 800 euros, and we built 2 of this structure. So limited time, limited resources. And here we see the 1-to-5 model of the bench. This. Again, and then textiles, we started to text. Actually, these are something that you normally see on the scaffolding of the buildings. And so we went to the very cheap material. Here testing again. And then it was very funny to testing and to try. But then it was crazily windy. And here again, like a few pictures like of the construction site with all the students. And then we painted. So very, very small money. We think we achieve a big result, which is this one at the end. We can see like you cannot do anything anymore like with your trash, and you cannot even come because probably it's super windy. You cannot really wait your train upstairs, so you have to go downstairs. But there were no sitting. And here you see also how actually the second name of this workshop that we gave is like soften urban edges. Soft urban edges, so this is very strong, and with this textile we make also more pleasure in this place. How? Because with the wind it was always changing, let's say. And then we discovered that actually Luchtbal, the name of the suburb, was connected to like a air balloon and then the wind. So I think that we did something very, very connected to the place, even without knowing it, I'm honest. And then you see how this is the community, that as soon as we finish the building, community came and they start to put very nothing, but you see how the people started to appropriate like the spaces that you do. They found, this is a video. How can we see, like, so you enter anymore, and there is something, always a sign that is telling you something happening here. And then, of course, this connection between, like, a kind of waiting space together with this connection to the tracks. And again, like showing this video, here you have a light, and all these curtains, new textile, was working with the light. So sometimes even unexpected effect are coming. And then it's something like 4 days designing and building. So with 800 euros, we built this and the other. And then yeah, you can see like this bench. Not very. Yeah, you see, like this is scaffolding textile. It's very. But yeah, so again, we've been invited like 2 years after, same area, like they developed again with like with bikeways. And then we focus on this abandoned structure that it was very close to a youth center made out of container. And then we were started to focus on this because actually I think that it was built because of because of workout, like a training of people. But then investigating, started to talk with people, we understand that it's not used at all. It's just abandoned. They come here to paint it. And then the other things that this is the structure. This is a side plan that you see. Here we have the youth center, and here we have a huge building in Luxembourg. And you see, like we've been doing a survey with the students. But then the most important thing was exactly here, like talking with the people, talking with the young, like a user of this space. And we started to ask if we can use the structure. I said, of course, because nobody do anything with that. And especially in the night, it's becoming very dangerous. Because nobody goes there. They stay all where the light is. So again, thinking about how can we use the wind, how can we start to think a pleasant place where to stay, again, like with models. We built, we redesigned it, and as you can see, we have been putting like some sitting elements, and this is a wind turbine. Actually, it's something that now you will see the result. Is what we have done is a very simple act, really simple act, but there was a thought behind that, and there was like a research behind that. And then, of course, is Antwerp, and this suburb is very, very famous. I mean, it's very windy, so you have all these wind energy like systems everywhere you go. And this is like, we were there, we were thinking, okay, it's windy, but it was always very windy. So even just working and building, it was complicated. And then raining for sure. So we started to use the resources we had, like a student was having like a broken bike at home. We started to take it, and we built like a wind turbine with the students, like started to understand. And this is the final result. Actually, we see here the wind turbine, all these sitting elements, and then we try to connect through the color with the existing youth center. And it's kind of annex of the youth center. And here we see like some pictures of how it was and how it started to be used. And then here we see like this window. Of course, it's ridiculously like how it has been done. But for sure, like this was the lamp, and this was how it was really working with the wind. So somehow we can get some energy, and here how it was working in the night. So I would say that we achieved a good result in the given time we had and with the resources we had. So I believe that at the end it's not really important what we want to, I mean the final project and the final result, of course, is important, but what we want to sensibilize, like it's like the administrations, what we want to also open the eyes of the people that with really small tools and a little bit of effort you can really achieve. And this is something that the community is gonna stay with this. For sure, the light is not very helpful because, as you can see, it's very, very low. But at the end, that's not the meaning. It's about inspiring people, inspiring community, and then get then involved. And just that, they will react. And then, of course, it's not a utopia. Sometimes people started to think about, yeah, but you go there and then you do your project and then you left. Because I don't live in Antwerp, I don't live in Mozambique, I don't live in Burkina Faso. But at the same time, I'm always connected for sure. But the thing is that there will be a very, very strong mutual growth for sure. And then both students, myself too, and the people of the community, it will stay with something. And then I would like to finish my presentation with this sentence of Christian Norbert Schulz, an architect theoretician from Norway, that was translation is a tool for gathering. So if it is true that translations at the end is really is the first step that you do, when you translate your language to talk with another person, also works for the architecture, that you have to somehow get in touch. So I would like to connect architecture to translations, and so architecture is also a tool for gathering and to get involved in a community. Thank you very much.